Welcome to the fifth and final season of Rebuilding Manchester United, and in this episode we've pretty much everything already achieved. It's going to be about seeing what we can win, how our players develop over the course of the season, and just rounding it all up at the end in terms of exactly what we have done at the club. Personally, I'm pretty happy. Okay, so welcome to the video then, folks. As I said in the intro, this is the fifth and final season of Rebuilding Manchester United. And at the start of this, the main aim was that we wanted to become the most domestically dominant team in English football. And I think we're pretty much at that. I mean, we've won the Premier League each of the 4 seasons we've done so far. We've won every trophy, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Champions League. We're winning it all. We've got a really good squad. The main rule for that as well was that by the end of this season, we can have no players over the age of 25. They can be 25, they just can't be over the age of 25. And we're absolutely on board to do that. As you can see from the club vision screen, they're delighted at everything we're doing, basically. There is a board takeover in progress. I'm not worrying about that too much. That's just going to be an internal director steps down type thing. It's not going to be Ineos taking over or anything like that. It will be interesting to see in FM24 exactly how this is approached from the perspective of the Ineos takeover. But anyway, let's get on with things. And at the end of this video, by the way, I'm going to be giving you a brief outline as to what the next rebuild video will be, which will also be next Sunday at 2 p.m, same time as all the rebuild videos are. But let's get into the transfer business that we've done. And we'll start here because we've got a couple of players here that we have signed. They won't be coming in until January because they're still 17 years of age, but they turn 18 before January, and that's when they're going to be joining us. So the first one is Rafa Saiz from Atletico Madrid. He's a right back, joins on the 1st of January for 13 million, raised into 21.5 million. And if we take a look at him, he's a fullback, plays on the right, potentially we could get him trained on the left. B plus as 1.5 star current ability with up to 5 star potential. Looks a decent signing. Most of or pretty much all the signings we've made in this transfer window have been about the future. They're not really about what we will do in the here and now with them. It's just about making sure that when we step down at the end of this season, we've left the club in the best possible condition, and having a player like that, top quality right back. Then we've got Santiago Lopetegui, comes in from Bamfield. Now I have to admit, I had to look up who Bamfield were because I thought they were like an Irish or a Welsh team or something like that. Turns out they're Argentinians. I couldn't have been much further away from it, really. But yeah, he comes in centre back, joins on the 1st of January for 5.75 million. And if we have a look at him, he's a 6'4" centre back. I mean, that is my kind of centre back. He's listed as a wonder kid. He's 4.5 star potential. He's going to come in with 2.5 star current ability at the age of 18. So yeah, he looks like he's going to be a really good player, and we will definitely have him in the team at some point for some games before the end of the season, just so we can say we've taken a look at him. But yeah, he looks like he's going to be a player. In terms of the actual transfer history, as you can see, there's no players we've brought in since it ticked over to the new season. The business we've done has all been before that. So we start off in here with Marcio Roberto from Fluminense for 13.25 million, 1.5 star current with 4.5 star potential goalkeeper. He's going to be a backup goalkeeper. Bayendir has moved on. Now we need to get him gone. He's a 6'5" goalkeeper as well. His only negative is that he doesn't feel the support from me at the moment. He's only just arrived. It's natural. 18-year-old Brazilian goalkeeper. No doubt he's going to be a very good goalkeeper in the future. Then we move on to, I'm going to leave him till last actually because he's my star signing. Mohamed Ouda for 35 million from FC Porto. 18-year-old Frenchman. He's not listed as a wonder kid, but he does have 5-star potential with 2-star current ability. Has a valuation between 88 to 130 million. So the 30 million we spent on him seems like a bit of a bargain right now. And the fact he's only 18 years old, he will get better and better. He plays currently as a left back. We have played him already as a right back. We are going to look at trying to get him to be comfortable as right back, but he is primarily a left back. But yeah, 18-year-old French lad. Then we have Petr Jezek from Bayern Munich's second team for 1.8 million. Again, already has a valuation of 25 to 37 million. 5-star potential defensive midfielder. Already looks really good. I mean, he's got agility is in the yellow, aggression, bravery, determination, all in the yellow, technique in the yellow. He could be a real star for us, this boy. It's a shame, actually, we're not going to get to see how these players fully develop. With some of the players we've brought in, there is a real temptation for me to holiday on 5 years into the future just to see how they progress. It's something I might do, probably not as content on the channel, just out of my own curiosity. But if it is something you're interested in, let me know in the comment section. Then we get to Felix van der Ven. Now, 19-year-old Dutchman and 6 foot centre-back, 3-star current ability at the age of 19, 5-star potential. He's already as good as Nicolas Romero in terms of his star rate. If we have a look at what he looks like in this as the actual comparison. Now, Romero is 23 years old. He's in the blue. So Romero edges him in all of the attributes. He's slightly better at defending, slightly more physical, slightly quicker, quite a bit more for vision. He's not as good when it comes to attacking, but we don't really need him to be there for attacking. Slightly better technically, slightly better aerially, and the same mentally. But like I say, he's only 19 years old. And I think he's going to be an absolute bargain buy. And maybe hard to call someone a bargain when they're 50 million raising a 62. But yeah, like I say, you look at his valuation, 110 to 128 million. We need to get these training arrows moving in the right direction. But yeah, he looks a really, really top class player. In terms of the season preview for the Premier League, we're expected to finish third. Again, I never take much notice of this. We do have Coyote here, by the way, in the Media Dream 11. Again, I don't pay too much attention to Media Dream 11, but we have got Coyote there. If we then have a look at the schedule and see how we've got on so far, we are currently 6th in the Premier Division. We started off the season, Community Shield against Aston Villa. We won that 4-0. If we have a look at it, we can see that we were the better team, more shots on target, better XG, better passes completed, more possession. The other stats, if you look into it more deeply, also quality. Højlund with 2 goals, getting a 10 out of 10 as well. As well as those 2 goals, he also assisted Dorgu for his goal, and Konate getting on the score sheet as well. Assist from House of Naipan coming on from the bench. We started off with Seaman in goal, Dorgu, Vandermeer, Coyote wasn't quite fit, or wasn't fit at all. Van der Ven and Kabasi in the middle, Mainu, Neves and Guerrera, Garnacho, Rooney and Højlund. Not quite sat on what my first choice team is, but we then played Everton in the league, won 3-0, goals from Garnacho, Kelson and Bargi. Then we played Bayer Leverkusen in the Super Cup, beat them 2-0, and goals from Kelson on 12 minutes from a Bargi corner, and Konate scoring in the 75th minute. Vandermeer went off injured. Again, this one was quite close, to be fair. A draw would have probably been a fair result, but I mean, you can't draw in a Super Cup. But yeah, we were just better at taking their chances. We then played Liverpool and lost 2-1. Konate getting on the score sheet for us, but Szoboszlai on 8 minutes and Salah on 19 minutes. They were 2-0 up early doors and we couldn't basically get back into it. We then beat Brentford 2-1 with an own goal from Aaron Hickey, a goal from Rasmus Højlund. Ollie Watkins playing for Brentford these days. I mean, I don't know how old Ollie Watkins is 5 years in the future. Oh, okay, he's only 31. I thought he was slightly older than that, actually. But yeah, 4 years in the future, coming up 5 years. Then we played Leicester in the league and won 1-0. It wasn't a convincing performance, and it was only because of Karen Konate on 94 minutes that we actually did pick up the win in that game. So we left it very, very late. Then Luton Town in the Carabao Cup third round, quite a few changes to this team. We had a reserve goalkeeper, Marcio Roberto, in goal. Uda was left back, Duase, Wharton, Estevao, our young, really promising wonder kid, right-sided midfielder. We need to give him game time. So he came in and, yeah, got a 7 rating, done okay, done decent. And, yeah, the goals from Romero penalty and Karim Konate. And next game, which is in a couple of days' time, in-game, is against Newcastle. So as things stand in the league, We do sit 6th. We've had 3 wins and a defeat from our opening 4 games. We're on 9 points. Tottenham and Chelsea with a 100% record. Aston Villa also unbeaten. Man City and Liverpool also above us. Southampton, surprisingly, in 7th position. So, and as you see there, we've won it for the last 4 years in a row. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment at the start of season 5. We're fast forward now to part 2, where we do the mid-season review, and then obviously part 3 we do the end of season review, usual layout as always. But like I said in the intro, I will have an update in part 3 as to who we're going to be rebuilding next once we finish with Manchester United. Welcome to part 2 of the video, otherwise known as the mid-season review. And before we get on to how things are going at the moment, it's not all been going our way. We're starting with the facilities section because, as you see, at the moment we've got a 74,000 all-seater stadium. Since this season's been going, I've not really bothered to try and improve training facilities or youth recruitment or anything like that, because as you see, we've got excellent training facilities, excellent youth facilities, excellent academy coaching, exceptional youth recruitment. I've just felt there's not really been much of a need on a shortish term save like this, where it's only 5 seasons. But just for the sheer hell of it, I did decide to put in a request, or a few requests actually. So I asked them to improve the youth facilities, which they rejected. I asked them to improve the youth recruitment, which they accepted. And that's now why it's gone up to exceptional youth recruitment. And I also asked them to improve the stadium, and I hope it was going to say something here about it. But they've agreed to expand the stadium. I think it's 86,000 all-seater stadium. I'll put a screenshot on screen round about now where you'll be able to see the email that they sent me. Unfortunately, it won't be done until the summer, till the end of season. So we won't actually get to see it in action, so to speak. But yeah, just a quick little update in that respect, really. But anyway, let's get into the competitions and have a look at how things are going. And if we click on the Premier League, as you can see, we are 4th in the Premier League at the moment. We're not top and running away. We're only 4 points behind Liverpool, but we have lost 3 games all away from home. One against Leeds, which was quite a surprise. 2-0, we were very poor in that game. Then we lost 2-1 away from home to Manchester City and 2-1 away from home against Liverpool. So not big defeats or anything like that, but defeats nonetheless. We've drawn 4 games, 2 at home, 2 away. We drew 2-2 against Everton, 2-2 against Liverpool. We clearly don't like playing the Merseyside teams. And a 3-3 draw against Newcastle and a 1-1 draw against Chelsea. And we've obviously won games as well. And Rasmus Højlund is the second top goal scorer with 15 goals. He's also 3rd in the average rating on 7.67. Rooney Bargy, 3rd in the assist league with 9. So we're getting players in here, I suppose, but we'll have a look at the schedule in a moment. In terms of the Champions League, things have been going our way in here. If we have a look at the league phase, we won the league phase, 7 wins, a draw. The game we drew was against AC Milan, 1-1. And yeah, 22 points. AC Milan also got 22 points. So goal difference, I'm assuming, must have been a deciding factor there, because otherwise it normally go to results between the 2 teams. Manchester City qualified, but they were very lucky, because when we played them and beat them in the group phase, they were around 26th place at the time. We have also played Fenerbahce and Lecce, who are the 2 worst teams in the competition. So it does go to show you we didn't have a massively difficult Champions League group phase. We're waiting to see who's going to be our opponents in the round of 16. It will be one of these teams. But yeah, we'll find that out shortly, I would imagine. We won the Super Cup, as you probably were aware from part 1, along with the Community Shield. In the FA Cup, we are through to the 4th round, is it? 5th round of the FA Cup. Oh no, we're not through to the 4th round. We've got to play a replay against Millwall. So yeah, we drew against Millwall in the original game, and then if we get through to the 5th round, if we get through to the 5th round, we'll be at home against Brentford. In the Carabao Cup, that's going well. We're in the semi-final. We've played the first leg already and won 3-0. The second leg is coming up. West Ham against Liverpool in the other game. We have won this competition once since we've been here. We won it the year before we arrived, and then obviously the previous 4 seasons we did win it the season before last. In terms of the FA Cup, actually, we'll have a look at when we won that. We've won that 3 times since we've been here. So we've really owned the FA Cup as well as the Premier League. So if you have a look at the schedule and have a look at how the matches have actually gone, you knew about the August games because that was before the transfer window. You knew about Luton, I believe, as well. We then beat Newcastle 3-1 at home. Rooney Bargi, Kobbie Mainoo and Rasmus Højlund. We then got a 1-0 win against FC Bayern in our opening Champions League game and a 1-0 win against Norwich City in the Premier League away from home. Then a 1-1 draw against AC Milan in the Champions League. A 4-2 win was followed next against Brighton with João Neves, Højlund, Naipan and Konate getting on the score sheet. Burnley, we won 4-0 in the Premier League before a 1-0 win against Eintracht Frankfurt. So by this point, we hadn't really set the group on fire. You know, a couple of 1-0 wins and a 1-1 draw. And then against West Ham, we won 3-0. Bournemouth, we drew 1-1 but won on penalties in the Carabao Cup 4th round. And as you can see from our team, with Roberto in goal, Vandermeer, Kabasi, Romero, Udar in defence, Duasse, Wharton and Naipan in midfield, Estevao and Irankunda out wide with Konate up top. It's a completely changed first 11 really, although it is kind of cheat mode in a way because Wharton and Naipan quite often will come in and play in the league as well because they're at that level, as can Konate and Irankunda and Nicolas Romero. Yeah, there's that's a really good backup team, I think, anyway. Let me know in the comments what you think. Then after Bournemouth, we played Manchester City in the league, lost 2-1. Then we played Real San Sebastian in the Champions League and won 3-2. Goals from Garnacho, Bargi and Kyoto. And again, we're still not setting the Champions League on fire. We then beat Tottenham 1-0 and Bournemouth 3-1 in the league before then playing Manchester City in the Champions League and winning 2-1. Again, we've edged the result there. We then beat Aston Villa 5-0 in the league, and that was an excellent result because Aston Villa are having another really good season. Then we beat Southampton 3-2. Could say we were a bit fortunate in that game. We were 2-0 down, but we ended up coming back for an Aït-Nouri own goal, Højlund and Konate. Then we played Chelsea in the league and drew 1-1, followed by a 3-0 win against Fenerbahce. Probably our best performance in the Champions League. I mean, a game against the win against Bayern Munich, although it was only 1-0, was still a very good performance. Konate, Wharton and Irankunda getting on the score sheet there. Then we get to Leeds in the Premier League where, yeah, we lost 2-0. It's not like we had a weakened team either because we didn't. You know, yes, Estevao was playing. Yes, Duasse was playing because Mainoo was just coming back from injury, I think, at this point. We did bring him on in the second half. But, yeah, that was a really disappointing 2-0. They've got 2 goals in 2 minutes there. Then we played Tottenham in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Tottenham have been quite a nemesis for us this season, but we picked up a 1-0 win. Then we got a 4-1 win against Crystal Palace, a 3-3 draw against Newcastle, and then followed that up with a 3-1 win against Middlesbrough. And then probably our game of the season, a 6-1 win against Arsenal, who have recently sacked their manager and got a new one. They've actually got through 4 different managers or 4 changes of managers in the time we've been at Manchester United. It's absolutely insane what's going on at Arsenal. Then we drew 2-2 with Liverpool. FA Cup third round was up next, and it was a 1-0 win with, again, a much changed side. We basically used our League Cup team, with the exception of Santiago Lopetegui, who has arrived with us now along with Rafa Saiz. Rafa Saiz is either out on loan or he's going out on loan. But Lopetegui got a game. He's now away on international duty, or he has been anyway. But yeah, played in the FA Cup, had a good game, played really well, really pleased with him. And then we played Everton in the Premier League, and it was a 2-2 draw, followed by a 3-0 win against Burnley. Then a 4-1 win against Leicester in the league, a Højlund, hat-trick and Guerrero on the score sheet. Then Champions League against Lech, where we won 3-1. We then got a 0-0 draw against Millwall in the FA Cup, again with a pretty much completely rotated team. Then we played Lille in the Champions League, and our best Champions League performance, without a doubt, 5-0 win. Garnacho, Bargi, Konate, Kyoto and Kelson getting on the score sheet. And then we've played Norwich and got a 2-1 win against them. Up next is the FA Cup replay against Millwall. If we look at our player stats, Rasmus Højlund's got 20 goals this season. He's also our highest average rated player on a 7.49. Rooney Bargi has got 11 assists across all competitions. Felix van der Ven has been playing at centre-back in place of Nicolas Romero, and he's best pass completion, 95%. He is a really, really good player, Van der Ven. In the Premier League, he's averaging a 6.9. He's got no goals or assists. He's not one to score goals, but as you see, all his attributes are going up in the right direction. He's on a 7 for the Champions League. He's just been really, really good. 5 caps for the national team as well. Rasmus Højlund with the most player of the match awards. Michael Kyoto with the most yellow cards with 8. And Karen Konate, the only player that's been given a red card for us. We do have the best we are the best in terms of goals scored. We're the 5th best when it comes to goals conceded. That has been our Achilles heel, has been our defence. We're usually the best or second best in that category. So, yeah, things have been going well. It's certainly not a case of the league has been lost yet, but we do need a good run of form because we've got, 14 games to go. We're 4 points behind what is looking like a very good Liverpool team. And, we're in the last 16 of the Champions League, semi-final of the Carabao Cup. We can still win a lot. Well, we can still win everything. We're not out of anything yet, which is amazing. So I will see you in part 3 when I'll give you a rundown on how the season's finished. We'll summarise everything. And then that will be the end of the series. Oh, we've come so close to winning absolutely everything. We've won basically everything we were in, bar the FA Cup. We were knocked out in the quarter-final by Chelsea. But we have won the Premier League. If we have a look at that in more detail, 9 points clear of Liverpool, who were in second position. They just drew so many games, Liverpool. They only lost 2 games, but they drew 11. It's far too many games. Man City were 3 points behind them in third, with Tottenham 2 points behind them in fourth. And Chelsea 5th, Arsenal 6th, Villa 7th, Brentford surprisingly getting 8th for getting into the Europa Conference League. In terms of relegations, Burnley, Middlesbrough and Palace have gone down. And if we have a look at the Champions League as well, we won that with a 2-1 win against Ajax. And boy, did we earn our place in the final. If you go back to the round of 16, we beat Inter Milan in that 6-1 on aggregate. And then you get to the quarterfinals and we were drawn against PSG, who in the previous round had put out Atletico Madrid, I think it was. Where are they on here? PSG, where are PSG? There they are. Yeah, 9-5. They put out Atletico Madrid on aggregate in that round. We played them. We beat them 4-2 on aggregate. We did lose the first leg of that game, but we won the second leg by 3-0, which put us through. Then in the semi-final, we got Manchester City. It was the 3rd time in the Champions League that we actually played Manchester City this season. Drew 1-1 in the second leg, but went through 4-2 on aggregate. Napoli against Ajax was the other semi-final. To be honest, I didn't actually know who was in that semi-final, so I weren't keeping an eye on it. And we ended up playing Ajax in the final. We was never going to underestimate them. At the end of the day, they got to the Champions League final. You can't underestimate them. And we beat them 2-1. We'll get into more details about these matches as we go through the schedule. In terms of Super Cup and Carabao Cup and Community Shield, and yeah, the Carabao Cup, winning that one. Second time we've won that trophy. Beating Liverpool 1-0 in the final. In the semi-final, we beat Burnley and Liverpool put out West Ham. In terms of the FA Cup, we went out to Chelsea in the quarter-final of the FA Cup. They then went on to lose to Tottenham in the semi-final. Where is it? Yeah, there you go. 2-1 in extra time. And Tottenham went and smashed Arsenal 5-0 after extra time in the final. So that was the only trophy we didn't win this season. But we done whatever the FIFA is, the quintuple or whatever it's called. And yeah, it's been an amazing season. Our team is just so good. This was basically the team we had out in the Champions League final. Rooney Bargi missing because he was injured. So Iran Kunda came in. We would normally have played Estevao. He has been Rooney Bargi's backup, and Iran Kunda has been Garnacho's backup. But as you see, he's got a slight injury. Rasmus Højlund has only just come back from injury, wasn't match sharp, so that's why we went with Konate up top. But basically, that is our first choice team. But our second string team has just been so good as well. And if you look at the likes of, say, Naipan, who has been Guerrera's alternative, I suppose you could say. If we look at his history, 35 appearances, 23 as a sub, 12 starts in the league, 9 goals, 8 assists, 7.05. He's probably not going to even get into our best 11 when we do the end of season review. If we look at what player I do want to look at is Alejandro Garnacho, because he has been amazing. He's still only 23, 5 years into this game. A valuation of around 100 million. And yeah, he has just been sensational. We look back over the 5 years we've been at the club, 7.16, 7.23, 7.15, 7.25, 7.15. This is obviously league only. 2 goals, 6 assists from 24 appearances in his first season. That was 13 starts, 11 assists. But then 30 appearances, 14 goals, 8 assists. 31 appearances, 14 goals, 3 assists. 34 appearances, 12 goals, 8 assists. This season, 14 goals, 5 assists from 37. In all competitions, he's 23 goals and 9 assists in all competitions this season at a 7.26. He has been the absolute star of this show, I have to say. Now, one other bit of information I want to bring you before I forget, not that it's really that important, but I've signed a new contract, a new 4-year contract. We've gone from £190,000 a week to £240,000 a week. And the reason why that's important to me is because I am putting some consideration into playing this as an offline save as of when I might get a bit of spare time here and there, because I'm absolutely loving it. I've got to say, I really am loving it. If we go to the dev centre, go to the under-21 squad, sorted by potential, as you can see, we've got some really good potential players. I'd say probably down as far as Jerry Wilby. You know, these players here have such high potential to be able to get into the first team squad, and they're all going to end up being homegrown at either club or nation. The ones down here, we could probably sell a couple of them. We're not going to get much money for them looking at their value, but they are what they are. In the under-18s as well, let's have a look at that squad. And again, it's filtered by potential. And I'll say from there to there, which is what, 9 players. We just have so many good players in our youth system. 9 here, probably about 5 in the other one. That's more than a first team worth of good, excellent young talent. And then we've got players like Christian Nidal, who we value potentially up to 11 million. We've got Ollie Ibrahim, who's got a value of up to 25 million. You know, there's players here we can absolutely look at moving on and making a bit of profit on, and that will help with the finance as well. We are 3 million under, but once all the Premier League money goes through and everything else, we'll be massively in profit again. So we have pretty much sorted out the finances, because when we first came here, at the end of the season, we was like 80 to 100 million pound in the red. So we have absolutely sorted that out. And this is another reason why I might want to do a little sneaky private save with them as well, because they're offering us 185 million, or giving us, I should say, 185.7 million in the transfer budget. If we wanted to make an adjustment to that and put some of it into the wage budget, we could have 6.4 million in the wage budget and still have 90 million in the transfer budget. So yeah, it is what it is. We've still got 1 million in the wage budget to use should we decide to need to. But the fact is, this season, I mean, the reason why I didn't give you a transfer update in part 2 was because we've not signed anyone. And when I look at the squad now, and we go by contract expiry date, you've got Alvaro Fernandez, Samuel Lucero, Tyler Fredrickson. They're all going to be leaving the club on a free transfer in the summer. In terms of anybody else at the club, if I'm looking at who I want to move on, Eric Norgard will probably be one of them that goes. Like I say, Fredrickson, Fernandez and Lucero are going to be going. Other than that, there's not really anyone else I want to move on. And the rest of the squad, I'm actually really happy with that. So it could just be a case of, can we get any money for some squad players and reinvest with some squad? But again, you've seen the dev centre. We don't really need to buy anybody. We're in that kind of position where everyone's of an age where we don't need to buy. We can move players on and bring people from the youth team back up. And we could just make money after money after money. And I think that is an absolutely amazing position for us to have got the club into. If we have a look at the schedule from when you were last with us, it was around here, wasn't it? We was just about to play Millwall in the FA Cup replay, and we won that 9-1. I mean, we actually went with a full strength team in that game, whereas we have been playing a second string team in the cup competitions like the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, but we went full strength. Kyoto got a couple, Garnacho a penalty, Bargy, Hoyland got 4 goals, Iran Kunda on the score sheet. It was just a trounce, and that I think is the biggest win of the season, probably the biggest win of the save. Then 0-0 in the Premier League against Brighton, 1-0 against Brentford, 3-1 win after that with a Garnacho hat-trick against Burnley in the league. Then there came the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg against Burnley, which we won 2-1. Then 1-0 win in the Carabao Cup final against Liverpool. 6-0 win in the FA Cup fifth round against Brentford. Bargy getting a couple of goals in that game. Then we played Man City in the league and won 3-1 at home. Then we played Inter Milan in the first leg of our Champions League round of 16. A 2-1 win there. We beat Tottenham 2-0, and then Inter Milan for the second leg we won 4-0 in the home leg. Chelsea is one of the defeats we had in the Cup in the quarter-final. West Ham we won 3-2 in the Premier League, 4-2 against Bournemouth, 3-2 against Villa. I mean, goals were just flying in around this time. Then we played PSG and lost 2-1 in the Champions League quarter-final first leg. Then a 4-1 win against Southampton before then turning it around against PSG to win 3-0. We then beat Chelsea 3-0 in the league. Leeds United, we struggled to get past 1-0 in this. Neves in the 80th minute. Bearing in mind, they did beat us earlier in the season in the league. So we've struggled against Leeds this season. Man City in the Champions League semi-final, 3-1 in the home leg. A 1-1 draw in the second leg. In between that, a 2-1 win against Crystal Palace. Middlesbrough won 5-1. Arsenal, we beat 4-1. Estevao, by the way, against Middlesbrough, getting a couple of goals in that game. And then against Arsenal, Garnacho over a couple, Kanate and Naipan also getting on the score sheet. And then the 2-1 win against Ajax in the Champions League final. An own goal got us off the mark on 4 minutes. They pulled one back on 70, but then Garnacho, who else but Garnacho would win us our second Champions League trophy. If we have a look at, I just want to, if I can find it, I want to see what our history is with the various different cup competitions. I mean, we see here that we've won 11 cups and 5 leagues as Arsenal manager. We've also made 44.5 million in just 5 seasons as a total career earnings. We've bought 27 players for 7.17 million. We've sold 42 for 514 million. Our highest transfer fee spent was 100 million on Adam Wharton. The highest transfer fee received was 101 million for Bruno Fernandes, and we paid 4.5 million to agents. Number of players released 4. I'm sure that's not right because we released plenty of players. But if we go to the club, have an overview of this. Nope, that's not the screen. Competitions. Well, I mean, we can tell from their landmarks. That will probably be the easiest one to go by. But yeah, you can see here where we've won cups and whatever else. It's just been a really successful save, and it's been a really successful 5 seasons. What we'll do now is we'll fast forward on to the end of season review and bring you that. Right, the end of season review is here, and don't forget, stick around at the end of the video. I'm going to tell you about what the next club is that we're going to be doing a rebuild series with, starting next Sunday at 2 p.m. of course. Here's our lovely 5 trophies: the Community Shield, the Super Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Champions League and the Premier League. Let's get into the end of season review with the new arrivals. Not many of them, to be fair. Marcio Roberto has been given the award for signing of the season, which I think is a bit harsh, really, because I would have given it to Van der Ven or Uda. But Marcio Roberto came in for 13.25 million. He did make 11 appearances in all the cup competitions at 7.23. He actually done really well. He's a really promising goalkeeper, and there's every reason to suggest that we keep building him up until he's able to take over from Dennis Simon, really. Felix van der Ven came in from Feyenoord for 62 million, made 50 starts, 3 sub appearances. He got a couple of assists but no goals, 6.97, so close to getting a 3. He was really good. I loved Felix van der Ven. Mohamed Ouda from FC Porto's B team for 35 million, 25 starts, 5 sub appearances, a couple of assists at 6.85. He's certainly setting himself in, and again, he's got the capability of just being a really, really good player. What I don't understand, they've not got the 2 guys that we brought in January, so it seems like this is a bit bugged, to be honest. In terms of players going out, not really a great deal to go through. We did have Aaron Campbell, a promising 20-year-old winger. He went to Everton for 3.1 million. He's not made an appearance for them. And again, this seems bugged because there were a few other players that did go out, but we don't seem to have actually got them on. I don't know what's happened with this. Right, let's go on to the season's results. And yeah, finished top of the league, 73,774, 99% full. We are getting that expanded to 82,000, I think it is. I think I said 86,000 earlier on. And Rasmus Højlund was their top scorer with 20 goals, an A+ rating for that. An A+ rating for the Champions League. You can see the teams we've played here. The only slip-ups we had was a 1-1 draw against AC Milan and a 2-1 defeat against PSG. But other than that, yeah, really, really good competition. Then the Super Cup we by Leverkusen, the FA Cup, we know what happened there. Carabao Cup, we beat Luton, Bournemouth, Tottenham, Burnley and Liverpool. And the Community Shield, we beat Villa in that one. Moving on to moments to remember. The biggest win was the 9-1 win against Millwall. The match to remember was a 2-1 win in the Champions League against Manchester City. And the goal of the season came from Rooney Bargy, who delighted fans and pundits alike by scoring a thumping free kick from 26 metres. That was in their 3-0 win over them. Move on to the finances, and sponsorship has gone down by about 20 million. The broadcast revenue has gone down by 2 million. The corporate and hospitality has gone up by just over £1 million. A 2 million increase in prize money and a few £100,000 on the matchday commercial and retail went up. We're 5-star worldwide. 61.85 million made in merchandise sales. Non-domestic sales amounting to 37.91 million of this total, and 1.5 million shirts sold. Højlund, Guerrera, Garnacho, Rooney and Konate were the main shirt sales. In terms of their first 11, this would be interesting to see what they do. So Simon in goal, Dorgu left back, Coyote right back, Van der Ven and Kelson in the middle. Van der Ven and Simon are the only 2 that have not hit that magical 7.01 plus. Mainu, Neves, Guerrera, Garnacho, Rooney, Højlund. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. That was our standard first 11. All I would say is the likes of Wharton, Naipan in the central midfield roles might consider themselves a little bit unlucky because they were very rotated, as was Douassi for Mainu. In terms of the accolades, so most assists by player in the season, Rooney Bargy for 19 assists. Most player of the match awards in the season is Rasmus Højlund for 8. In terms of the individual player awards, Rasmus Højlund was the fans player of the season with, he was the fans player of the season basically. Then Rooney Bargy was the young player of the season. Sign of the season, Marcio Roberto. Again, I don't quite agree with that myself, but it is what it is. Rooney Bargy with the goal of the season, as we've seen. Top scorer was Rasmus Højlund with 32 goals in all competitions. Rooney Bargy with 19 assists in all competitions, the most assists. Most player of the match awards was Rasmus Højlund. The highest average rated player was Rasmus Højlund. Most passes completed per 90 minutes was Nicolas Romero. It's actually quite nice to see this not being dominated by Garnacho, because that's usually what happens. But yeah, I'll say probably Garnacho, Højlund, Bargy, in terms of their attacking players, yeah, they are the best ones. And then with that midfield behind them that consists of Neves, Guerrera, Naipan, Wharton, it's an awesome team that we've got. It really is. Man United took a little while to get going, but really set themselves up for this most magical of outcomes with an unstoppable late run. Titles are often decided by the team with the fortitude to block everything out and just win late in the season, and that's been the case for Man UFC as they celebrate. And of course, with the news being announced that the Premier League will be fully licensed in FM next year, there'll be no more Man UFC. It will be Manchester United. Same with other clubs in in the Premier League. You're going to get all the badges. You're going to get the right names of the competition and the stadiums and all this sort of stuff. It's going to be great. I can't wait for it. Manager timeline is what the manager timeline is. We don't pay too much attention to that. And that is pretty much all there is. Supporters' influence is low, by the way. We do have a new board, a guy called Luke something. Should we actually see if we can have a look at it? I can't remember where we find it now. It's not in facilities. Profile. No, it's going to be around it. Where are we on this list anyway? Oh, we're in icons. We are in the icon list. We sit alongside the likes of Solskjaer, Keane, Scholes, Neville, Van Nistelrooy, Ronaldo, Beckham, Van Persie, Rooney, so on and so on and so on. We're not a legend, but we are an icon at Manchester United after 5 seasons. And yeah, that is pretty much the end of this save. So next week, we're going to be packing up our suitcase, getting our passport, and we're going abroad. I had a little think of what and where we're going to go. I wanted to do somewhat of a fallen giant type save. And eventually I came across FC Kaiserslautern in the 2 Bundesliga. And I think that is going to be an awesome club to do a rebuild with. The aim will be to get back into the Bundesliga and to win the Bundesliga. It's going to be a tough challenge. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but in 5 seasons, we need to win the Bundesliga with FC Kaiserslautern. Hopefully you're going to stick by for that. I've absolutely loved doing this Man United save. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Please stick around for Kaiserslautern next weekend. And until then, have a good one. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.